Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group Chat. We got a hot episode to send you into the weekend. We're starting off with an interview. We got a very funny interview.
Yeah, we have Che Durena on, who just exploded on TikTok over the last couple of years. A hilarious way to start the episode.
I do got to say, if TikTok gets banned, I will miss I'm not saying like Che will probably be fine. There's a lot of people that have already been established that'll be fine. They'll pivot to other platforms. But the discovery of talent, like the amount of people that ended up just being really funny or really entertaining or really great, man, so much of that emerged. Like stars were really made on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss that. You just don't get that on Instagram. Okay, and then we're going to jump into some news. We got a lot to talk about. We have some Elon news. We have some real estate fears, I guess I'll call it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Some cracks in the world of luxury. There's one particular luxury brand that's showing some major issues, that are kind of warning signs, I guess.
That
we should talk about. There's a big threat to Shopify coming. Then, of course, we end with our winners, losers, and content recommendations. I got to say, Dee, you really knocked it out of the park with your content recommendation.
Wow.
You did. I feel like there's a group, like the same way there's a very small group for when I recommend books, like very small, like 3 people that I could name. Your content recommendations do have a small audience, not 3. It's a decent amount. But this episode, I think you nailed it. And I'm,
you're going to love it. You're going to love the show.
I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
So we got a hell of an episode. We're ending the week strong. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, Cathy's, we like to have fun here. So we actually wanted someone that's actually professionally funny to join us on the podcast today.
Sick. I'm here. They brought me in.
Andre, our good friend and fellow Run Club member, was saying that, we want to enlighten the podcast with some humor. And we like to have a good time. And I think the fun part is I've seen a ton of your videos on TikTok. So you have an insane reach with looks like 7.8 million followers, right? How do you feel about it getting banned?
Oh, TikTok ban?
Yeah.
I'm of 2 minds about it. Part of me is like, you don't focus too much on the things you can't control. If it's going to get banned, it's beyond my reach.
Yeah.
So I will focus on growing my other platforms, focusing on having my focus on Instagram, YouTube, all these other things. There's so many other avenues in which I can reach people. And I do have other platforms that are doing really well right now. And then I'm also I watched the congressional hearings and it made me very frustrated to watch people who would quickly, frack and poison a water supply, feign concern for the American population. So it's like the greediest, most selfish people being like, this is a threat. It's like, you're a threat.
Yeah.
You threaten Americans every day. We need to protect Americans. How food prices are going through the roof, the housing crisis, there's the education system, school shootings. There's all these things that are violent to Americans in more ways than one. And you're saying that TikTok is a threat? So that I found very frustrating and disingenuous. I would rather these people just say, this company isn't lacing my pockets and I want money. At least be honest if you're going to... Can I swear?
Yeah, of course.
At least be honest if you're going to fuck me. Yeah.
So the question then becomes, if you looked at it objectively, that obviously you have a soft spot for TikTok because and I'm sure it helped your career.
Oh, 100%, without a doubt.
If you looked at it objectively and you're looking at from the standpoint that there's clearly that China is a threat to America, right? And I'm not disagreeing with any of the points you said that obviously we could be doing better for our citizens. That's obvious. But can you objectively feel like there is this ability that we don't know if it's true or not, but let's just assume that it is, that if Chinese government wanted to have an influence on America's youth, they could do that through TikTok.
Oh yeah, I'm not disagreeing that.
Yeah.
The point I was making through that was that these people pretend that they care about Americans, and they don't.
Yeah.
They care about being richer, keeping the status quo, making sure that they have a lot of money, and
I think the comp for that would be when George Bush Sr. went to Iraq and said that, he wants to spread democracy, which is not what he was trying to do. There was obviously American interest in oil at the time in those days. But I think the struggle is that like from our perspective, and we've benefited from TikTok and it's helped grow our podcasts and things like that. Mm-hmm. But we look at it like let's take it from the angle of like American innovation, right? Yep. They've blocked Facebook, they've blocked Google, they've blocked Twitter.
Yeah.
So the deal that I would be making is, okay, cool. You guys can do whatever the fuck you want here. You got to let us make money over there too.
Yeah. You want us to be able to have our social platforms on your thing.
Exactly. Because they're not, to me, they don't play a fair game. And I think we talk about this is like, if Chinese government has to sell TikTok for it to exist, think about the pride of the Chinese people to like succumb to American power. Yeah. We just don't see that
especially
happening.
Now with the influence and power China's gained over the last 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. I just don't see a world where they say, yeah, you're right, America, you guys should own this insanely valuable property that has eaten all of the American social media companies' lunches.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with anything you guys are saying. 100%. No, it's just that the part that angered me was the
hypocrisy.
The hypocrisy. That's the only thing that bothered me. Could TikTok be a massive threat? Absolutely. Is China becoming more powerful day after day? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it going to lead to full on war? Who knows, man?
Yeah.
All these things are factors that are in play right now. I don't know if you'll ever see like Facebook and Google and those things like active over there in China. I think that just isn't something they're willing to budge on. I also don't think TikTok's going to get banned. I think there will be restrictions put in place to secure the platform in America. Maybe get sold. They talk about this Project Texas where they're going to have like all the data is kept in Austin, Texas, and it'll be managed and monitored by all American workers. And it would be like, I think from what he made it sound like, this guy Xu, impossible for China to get that data because they wouldn't have the access to it.
Yeah.
So I think those things might come into play first. And even if it does get banned, I don't know, we could be like years away from this going all the way through. This is just in the Senate. It has to go through the Senate, then the House, and then the president.
Yeah.
And all these steps have to go through in order for it to get banned. And there could be a new president in power at the time, by the time we even get it up to that level. So I have no idea what's going to happen on that front. And leaning more on what I said before, it's like, if it does, it's like, man, you just you go with the flow.
Keep moving on.
Yeah.
So how did your TikTok career start? Like, how did you end up building a following?
Pandemic.
And
Yeah.
were you doing comedy before?
Oh yeah. I've been doing stand up for like 10 years now. So it was like a combination of a few different things. So like I had been doing stand-up for a long time. I worked for a YouTube channel for years where there I scripted and hosted videos. It was like top 10 videos and stuff. Pretty mindless content, but people love to drink that stuff up.
Yeah.
And that guy who ran that also ran several different channels. And then he put me on a reaction channel, which I was doing well on. And I was doing well on the reaction channel because I had been doing stand-up for so long. And I also did like improv acting briefly. I took a class doing that to audition better for commercials, which taught me kind of like to trust my first thought and take my comedic talents and taking those two things together with my comedic talents on the reaction channel, I could easily create this content where I'm riffing.
Yeah.
And then I was doing that for a little bit of time, and then pandemic hit, and then I had a buddy who was doing TikTok stuff and getting good reach, and I saw how easy it was to make a TikTok. And then I just started making it. And then I would spend just as much time making the content as I did studying the platform. I'd spend like an hour a day making videos and an hour a day just watching YouTube videos about like algorithm, how many hashtags to use, how many times you should post, all that kind of stuff. So I could really learn like the sexy side, which was the content, and the non-sexy side, which was the math. Yeah. And then once those two things came together, it just started to grow and grow and grow and grow. And that I was able to leverage that into a work visa to get a move from Canada to America, which is like most comics' dream, or at least their goal, because the Canadian entertainment industry is quite stifled.
Really? I mean, I feel like some of the biggest stars in America are all Canadian. There's not like an ecosystem there now?
Well, we have a really poor ecosystem. Like our everything we do is very neutered. There's not a lot of things that are created in Canada that break through the zeitgeist, and there's a lot of things that are held back. And the things that do break through usually had to build a platform organically outside or needed some sort of backing. Like you look at Schitt's Creek, great show, has some teeth. That has like Eugene Levy behind it. So you need like to have some sort of fame to push an idea like that forward. You have Letterkenny, very popular show. I think it's on like season 8 now. The Letterkenny guys grew a big YouTube following prior in order to get the industry on board. It would be very rare for the industry to take on a show like that without some sort of proof of concept before. Yeah. Where I feel like in America, they're much more likely to take those risks. But when you look at just the analytics of it, we have 1/10 of your population as spread out all over a massive country. So it just makes it a lot harder to do things.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What would you say the order of magnitude TikTok enhanced your ability to earn? Is it 2x, 3x, 4x?
It's not. Let's see.
Because you've been in the industry a decade prior to TikTok.
Yeah. And Canadian stand-up, there's like that, like if we're talking about how much money you can make in entertainment, where stand-up is on the like totem pole.
Like below Uber driver?
Oh, it's low, dude. It is low. The industry is kind of governed by a few people who are...
Who's a big Canadian stand-up that I wouldn't think they're Canadian?
Russell Peters.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, he's massive. Yeah. But he like was the YouTube boom. Yeah. Like he when YouTube popped, that like blew him up, and then
because he does arenas around the world.
Oh yeah. Russell Peters is massive. But yeah, the what it increased my revenue. My most profitable tour. Like we would literally make our own tours. Me and a couple of the comics, we would cold call venues, and then book the shows all ourselves. The first one, me and another comic booked. The second one, I did like half of it, and then for the next 3, they took it over all the booking. But I also had like the social following and the credits in order for us to kind of get these things going. The most profitable one was the last one, when I had about 6 million followers on TikTok. We went on the road for 10 days, and this is after like months of putting these things together book it in Canada. And after everything was said and done, we would split everything evenly. I think I went home with like $5,000 in the pocket.
Fuck.
And now in a weekend, I can do anywhere from 15 to 30K. Just off of stand-up sales.
In America, though.
Yeah, in America.
So at like like a venue here.
Yeah, and that's not including any sort of brand deal or what else is going to be.
America's great, huh?
Yeah, no, America is great. If you want to make some money, this is the place to be, guys. You want to fucking, get into that capitalist race, step on someone else's back and make your way to the top. This is where you do
welcome
it,
to LA. LA's the best for that.
And so I'm assuming you've been courted by all the major agencies at this point.
Yeah, no.
Well, look who brought him in.
Yeah, no.
I'm not trying to give it away.
I'm now signed with WME, which is the largest talent agency in the world. So I went from like a relative unknown, like in the Toronto comedy scene, I'm a well-respected comedian. I worked my ass off there and really grind to the top and outworked a lot of people in order to get to where I am. But that doesn't mean I was selling tickets or doing anything like that.
Yeah.
But with the power of like TikTok, I was able to elevate myself to a platform where people saw the potential. And then also there was now this monetary value as well. It's like, this guy sell tickets. There's a whole bunch of other things included. So that grew me to a point where now these big agencies would fuck with me.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You seem like a really smart guy. When I watch your videos, it doesn't come off like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you choose to go down that path versus clearly you're fucking smart?
Because
I know I know idiots who do that.
Yeah.
And when I meet them in real life, they're an idiot. So it's fine. But are you you know America's a bunch of dummies, and you can manipulate this with slapstick humor, and that's what gets the algorithm to go?
Not at all, man. Everything you see online is an honest representation of my sense of humor.
Okay.
That is really, truly what I find funny and what I like to create.
Yeah.
And if the social content, as much as I love my TikTok and I think it's great, it is not the thing I do best. And the thing I do best is stand-up, because that's the thing I've been doing for the longest. If you come and watch the stand-up, it's still like pussy shit fart humor.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was what my manager said, so obviously she's going to have a biased opinion towards. She said it's the smartest sex jokes I've ever seen. I bring everything down to a base level because I think most humans are quite simple, and I think most of our problems and issues are quite simple. Like we look at the TikTok ban. It's like, why is this TikTok ban happening? Is it a giant overlord threat because people are moving these chess pieces around? It's like, it's probably more money. It's like America's worried about China making more money.
Yeah.
And they're worried about, and these politicians are worried that they're not getting money out of this. Everything's really baseline. It's like, why did I become a comedian? Why do we chase these big things? Why? It's like, is it like a sense of purpose? What is reality? It's
Girls.
like a pussy.
Yeah.
It usually comes down to pussy.
Occam's razor.
Yeah.
The most obvious explanation is normally the right one.
Exactly. Like after me and my buddy saw Infinity War, I was telling him about Thanos in the comics, and Thanos in the comics, he's not trying to balance the universe by like just creating like a lack of resources. He wants to court death. Death is an actual being, and he's like, I'll kill half the universe and to win her favor, and then I can be with death. It's like, and he was like, it all comes down to pussy.
Yeah.
It always comes down to pussy. So I think these base things are really relatable, and something I find very funny is taking something very complex and then simplifying it, or taking something very simple and then making it more complex.
Yeah.
That highbrow, lowbrow, because I think you can dissect something simple as like, why do you crave pussy so much? Why do we want these really baseline things that drive us? Or taking something huge, it's like this, I don't know, you guys are into fashion and stuff, and like maybe you're like, the fashion gets complex, and I can simplify that down to be like, oh, it's just about pussy.
Yeah.
Those things I find very funny because they also create absurdity, and I think absurdity is great.
Yeah. And so when you're doing live stand-up, is like you get the best reaction out of that stuff.
Yes.
Right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's also, that's truly what I find funny. I talk about sex a lot, sex, relationships, dating, these kind of things. Because growing up, I've always had a perception that sex is common and normal and everyone's doing it, but we have this giant overtone of shame that is attached to it, which I don't think are our own values. I think they're entrenched values from cultural norms that are like brought in through religion and different things. So I question those things constantly. Like, is it normal to feel jealous about if you're in like a non-monogamous relationship and your partner sleeps with someone else and you feel jealous? Is that jealousy something that is something I innately feel, that's a nature-based thing? Or is that something that's indoctrinated to me because I think there's this possession through a relationship? So those things I try to dissect as much as possible because I find them interesting. And I think sex should be something that should be talked about very openly, because literally everyone's doing it. Everyone is fucking. And if you're not fucking,
a lot of Gen Z are not fucking.
A lot of them are not fucking. Yeah. But I think that's just because they got so much porn, man. They got porn in the pocket all the time. It's hard to turn that off. It's great. So if you're like jizzing 4 times a day off your phone, you're like not out for the quest for pussy in the same way.
You think it's literally that?
I think it could be definitely a factor for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I've heard that theory. I just didn't believe it. I was like, wouldn't you want the real thing instead?
Bro, but it's like
I guess you get the
it's
sensation.
Friction. There's friction, right?
Yeah.
You actually have to go talk to someone.
Yeah.
There is that friction. There's that social anxiety towards it. But it's also these, like, a lot of these things that drive us aren't as tactile as that. As like, oh, there's this conscious thought of pussy is better than jerking off. If you are jerking off constantly, you're literally like removing that motivation to get laid, which is going to be in your baseline decision making, which is going to drive everything you do.
Yeah.
It's taking something simple, making it
The
complex.
algorithm of life.
Yeah. Like if I
They're
have
just jizzing their way through life.
yeah, if I've jerked off like 4 times today, and then
Is that the number for today?
no, I haven't jerked off at all today. I actually was gonna jerk off, and then I got too busy. Yeah, and I was horny this morning too. I was crazy.
Why?
Horny.
Would you go out last night?
No, I didn't go out last night, but I did fuck this married lady a few days ago, and that's been like bouncing around in my head like crazy. I can't stop thinking about fucking her. It was great.
So here's the question. So now you're in the big leagues.
Yeah.
William Morris. Does this comedy, like, does Netflix fuck with this type of comedy?
I think they would. I don't think there's. I actively avoid politics in my comedy, and those things.
That's all they care about, right?
They care about politics. They care about like.
I guess Louis C.K.'s, he has a lot of dirty
But he's not
jokes.
in Netflix, is he?
Yeah, no, he's not.
He's
Louis
not in
C.K. is
anything.
completely
He's selling
independent
it like direct
now.
access streaming.
But I'm saying he's massive. I mean, he's
Yeah.
selling on
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, but he has, because he has that platform, he can do whatever he wants. It's like an Andrew Schulz or something. Those guys can be.
He's funny.
Oh, he's so funny. But though they can be absent from the industry because they have the platform to do so. Which is like anyone, if that's your goal, you can build towards that. Yeah, no, I think someone like Netflix would absolutely fuck with what I create. I think I don't think sex jokes are crossing the line. Like I said, I'm actively avoiding politics because that's not what I watch comedy for. Like, I think it's great when people have a purpose or a message that they send through their comedy.
Oh, so you agree with that in entertainment? You know, that's like a common thing.
Yeah.
It's a big divide in America where like athletes and entertainers should not be involved in politics publicly. Like obviously privately do whatever you want, but like that, because it's caused like a lot of divisiveness with the NBA and NFL and like.
I think it's more on. I don't think as consumers we should expect these people to be anything other than athletes and entertainers. I think going to them for a valuable, educated opinion on politics or, I don't know, gender politics or racial integration, like whatever we're talking about. I don't even know if racial integration is a thing. I'm just throwing words around here.
Buzzwords.
Yeah.
All you need to do.
As long as you say it confidently, everyone just assumes
Everyone's
it's
like,
real.
racial integration. We got to talk about that now. I think that's our issue as the consumers, expecting these people to have an educated point on that. And I think it's a dumb thing on our end because we, like, you look at LeBron James, an amazing basketball player, maybe one of the best of all time, blah, 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 blah. If he spent that time playing basketball and dedicated his life to political science or social economics or something, then he would have a mind and a study and an understanding of that in an equal sense. And there's someone out there who is doing that.
Yeah.
That's who we should go to for that type of information, and that's who we should value. And that's why one of the reasons I actively avoid politics in what I create is because I am so uneducated on these things that if you come to me and I say something and you believe it and you trust me, and then it becomes part of your standard of belief and your lexicon, and you're spewing the things that my uneducated ass is saying, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, don't come to me
that's
for
a really mature, but let's make the Canadian in you, because that's not an American point of view at all. Because Americans, like, everyone has an opinion on everything, whether you have
you
any
have to
idea.
have an opinion.
Like, think about it. Like, we talk about business a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of weeks, America has been in a banking crisis.
Yes.
Every person on Twitter is a banking expert right
Yes.
now. And what do you have, a Wells Fargo account? Makes
Same
you a
thing
fucking...
happened with the vaccine, all these things. man.
Exactly.
But you can make the criticism, though, that the journalists at the press conference after these games are the ones bringing politics in. So LeBron comments on some issue. He's just not taking the platform and saying like, hey, my press conference is about the political issue. Some journalist is asking him, so what did you think about the shooting?
Okay, well, that's when we look at these things, that's where we have to start dismantling journalism. Like, journalism is poisoned right now. There's no backbone of, journalistic integrity is eroded in a huge way. You see what they're reporting on, the headlines they use. Very few of them are out there trying to, I shouldn't say very few. This is another thing I'm uneducated on, but I think a hard hitting journalist, you look at like an Ariel Helwani. Do you know Ariel Helwani?
No.
Ariel Helwani's like the guy for MMA news.
Yeah, the UFC guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ariel Helwani isn't allowed in UFC press conferences because he was grilling Dana White. Dana's like, we're banning him. And all these other guys suck Dana's dick. And he's like, I refuse to do that. I refuse to compromise my journalistic integrity, and I will stick on the thing. Like,
so he's not allowed at a UFC fight?
No, and he's like the number one MMA
I hear
journalist.
him on podcasts talking about all the fights.
Dude, he when all that shit was going on, where Dana White was hit his wife, and it was all caught on camera. There was like the next day, like obviously like a guy like Chael Sonnen, he's so entrenched with the UFC reporting on stuff, isn't talking about it. And you know what? He's protecting his nut. He's like, if he talks about it, he loses everything.
Yeah.
Ariel, of course, is absolutely talking about it the whole week, bringing it up. And like, so few people are like that because there's these massive corporations that do journalism where if you go against the status quo, you're gone, your career's done, you're out, and it's a tight-knit group. Where you're going to get a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't follow the rules. He doesn't play along. So we need to, there's different systems that need to be dismantled in order to build them from scratch because they've been poisoned. They're like, journalism shouldn't be for profit. The education system needs to be dismantled and rebuilt because it's old and archaic and doesn't teach kids how to do their taxes and valuable things that are ingrained in life right now.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what the original question was.
Doesn't matter.
Politics and entertainment and athletes.
So you have to go from the bottom up and like you blame the journalists, but it's because the journalists are part of a system that is pushing this. They need to get the clicks so they can get the money. Their boss is telling them to do that because all this stuff is profit driven, which is then like, now we're going to the root of America where it's like, hey, if you have a profit driven system, oftentimes quality is put to the side so you can make more money.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
USA all the way.
What's
USA.
the plan? Movies, TV shows?
Oh, what, for me?
Yeah.
Stand-up's always first. I like idolize Bill Burr's career. I think what he did is incredible. I think how he like special after special just kept honing his craft, staying true to who he was. When he switched to, I don't know if switched is the right word, but when he started doing what we know him as now, his manager dropped him. And he just like, people like that, people like Bill Burr, people like Anthony Bourdain or fucking Miyazaki, he made Elden Ring. Like these people who like hone in on something that is great and don't steer the ship.
Yeah.
Like don't turn the ship towards money or fame. They're like, I want to create a great product and I'm just going to keep getting great at this thing. They're very humble people. They're very relatable people. So as long as I keep creating great stand-up and that skill gets better and better and better over time, all the things that come around it, if I book a movie deal, if I book everything, I want them to be extensions of that. Where Bill Burr was in Star Wars, it was like an extension of himself in the Star Wars universe. That's where I see these things going. And then until you get like bored of it or something, maybe you want to do something else. I think directing would be something like way down the line that I'd be interested in. I watch a lot of action movies and I'm like, I could do that better.
Like Fast 10.
I haven't seen Fast 10. Fast 10's not out.
I saw a preview. Looked pretty dope.
No, I've got to see John. I'm gonna maybe
John
today.
Wick 4?
John Wick 4. I might see that today. That looks fucking awesome. And my buddy, who I see all these movies with, he's in Canada, so we don't see movies in it together anymore. But he was like, "Dude, it's unbelievable. You got to see it."
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I listen to Joe Rogan. He keeps
Yeah.
talking about Austin becoming the next comedy hub.
Yes.
Do you think he can manifest that? Is he big enough?
It like the thing with Austin right now is it is already like I'm going to go to Austin. I'm in Tempe after this, then I'm going to Austin to do some spots. Comics have Austin on their radar. Will it develop into that? That's only time will tell.
But it sounds like he's put a lot of his personal money into it.
Oh,
right?
yeah. No, it is a spot already. Like Austin is a place where all comics are going. They're hanging out. They're doing spots. But what needs to happen, like the benefit like that New York has is infrastructure.
Yeah.
There's a long history of all these old comedy clubs that have existed there. And so you go there and you can get 20 spots in a week. Once you've like been integrated into that scene, you also have a massive tourism population that goes there that
Just
are going
for
to
that,
fill these seats. Exactly.
I mean,
So-
I live near the Laugh Factory. It's packed every night.
Exactly. So you have
Yeah.
places like LA and New York that have the benefit of tourism to help fill these seats up and that create an infrastructure for tons of shows. Will Austin have that? I don't know. But is Austin already becoming a spot where you should go as a comedian? Yeah, absolutely already is.
Yeah, because he opened his club and he had Dave Chappelle, Andrew Schultz,
Oh, yeah.
everyone there.
Well, like it, just him being there, just Rogan being there is so much of a comedy powerhouse. Like he is a powerhouse. His podcast is one of the biggest media entities
Period.
on the planet. And so like you're advertising Austin to come here and do things. It's like it's all the pieces are there. He can do that just by himself. Will it be bigger than LA or New York? I don't know. I don't think so because I don't think it has the infrastructure, but will it definitely be a place as a comic you should go do spots and feel the vibe and see what this different scene is about and how they're doing comedy down there? And will it be like a place that generates a new type of comedy or a new revolution in comedy? I think it's already budding as that.
That's amazing. If people want to follow you, where should they follow you?
All my socials are Che Durena, CheDurena. You can find me on all platforms like that, except on Twitch, which I am Little Dinky News.
On that note, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. That was good. Start off with some comedy.
Very funny. Loved it.
After that, do you still think you can be a comedian or? Like, let me just clarify for the listener. There's a good part of you that feels like if you had the time, you could be a comedian.
I think I could be a comedian to only people that know who I am. I think I would catch a brick if it was all strangers.
But I feel like as you built your thing, every comedian has like a thing, like, oh, I'm the, Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
This is my perspective. I think you could build that.
Yeah, it would be fun. I couldn't do it right now, but it would be fun. I think it's like, because comedy is so much more broader now. Like, you could argue like Dave Chappelle is more of a commentator to me.
Yeah, he is.
Like, when I'm watching Dave Chappelle, there are plenty of times I'm not laughing, but I'm so engaged.
Yep. Yeah, he's really kind of changed. Yeah, and especially with TikTok, because you can do, skits can be your thing.
Yeah.
You and your wife could be your thing. It really opened up a new lane.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Okay. All right.
Hasbulla.
Hasbulla, I would say he's a comedian.
Yeah, I mean, he brings a lot of people joy.
Yeah, he does. He sure does. I saw a video of him on the Vegas Strip the other day in a car, and people were freaking out, like just like looking into the traffic in Vegas Strip, and there's Hasbulla with the window down. It's about as good of a celebrity sighting as it gets. I was at the airport. There's not many people that I would still be kind of surprised to see, and I was in the airport flying back from Vegas the other day. I know this guy isn't really on your radar, but I looked over. I saw the guy next to me. Somebody came and asked him for an autograph. Looked over. It was David Goggins.
Oh, wow. That's the runner.
Yeah, the runner, the Navy SEAL, the author. Pretty cool.
I feel like people love him.
Yeah, they love him. People were tripping. And the other thing about him is I feel like he really inspires even very successul people. So everyone was coming up to him. Like, he's not safe. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, once you get into VIP, no one bothers you. Like, everybody was bothering him. It was.
By the way, he blew up because of Joe Rogan, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's what really put him over the edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote a book and then Rogan had him on.
Yeah. I mean, the power of the post Rogan effect is so ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. People talk about it. Apparently, even Mr. Beast said he noticed it.
Really?
Which you wouldn't think anything could affect his numbers. Yeah. He said that the next day when he went out into the world, people were like, oh man, I saw you on Rogan. Like, people that wouldn't normally. Yeah. He could tell it's a demo that he wouldn't normally
crack through.
Wouldn't care. Yeah. That they saw.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
That's awesome.
Do you want to talk about car trackers real quick?
I mean, that's all anyone ever talks to me about. I get more texts about car trackers than anything in my life.
I don't know what these guys' conversion was on our ads, but it feels
They probably
like
sold 1 million cars from us. At least
it
1
seems
million.
like it's probably more common than any of our topics we've talked about that people bring up to me.
I not only now because everyone has sold their car, they're also buying their cars from them too.
Yeah.
It's bananas. Every day I get a text, yo, can you introduce me to Ali?
Yeah.
DM, I need to meet the car trackers guy. By the way, he's in the Discord. Soon, we're allowing Chatty Cathy club members. You just sell the car in the Discord. We'll give you the money right there.
Oh my God. Imagine if you sold and bought a car in our Discord.
Literally, he's in there. You could just hit him up. It's fucking wild.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what else to say. It's literally like we've done a lot of products that we use and, we don't really do ads for stuff that we don't actually recommend. I mean, I would say most satisfied Cathys. Who knew so many people wanted to get rid of their fucking car?
I mean, my mom is selling her car and got a new car through him.
Really?
My mom. I just introduced my mom to her. Then like 2 days later, my mom's sending me a picture in her new car.
That's amazing. I guess selling a car does suck, right? Like privately, if you have a car.
Anything with a car sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
They've just made it like a miserable experience.
Yeah. Well, Ollie fixed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, check them out. Where do you go other than our Discord?
Discord, Instagram, The Car Trackers, their website, thecartrackers.com. Below Invoice on Instagram as well. Like,
there you go. If you need to buy, sell a car, take away all the hassle, they got you, man. I mean, I don't want to go soft on our read here, but I don't know what else to say. People are pleased.
Yep. Agreed.
There you go. All right. Back to the episode. You want to talk about some news?
Let's do it.
That's what we do here. Elon Musk is continuing to sound the alarm on AI. I have no idea what to think here, but there's like kind of a group that's like not worried about it at all. And I've heard their points and seems to make sense. And then there's a group that Elon Musk is a part of that is very worried about this sort of AI taking over the world. Sort of reaching like an escape velocity type situation. And he's ringing the alarm.
Well, we talked about this, An and I think last episode, that basically there's two things I call that. I said, I'm very comfortable with AI from a business to business application. I feel like so much value can be added there. So many amazing things that can come out of that could help efficiency and society. I am not comfortable with the consumer having access to it. Consumers are dummies and will exploit this in the worst possible ways.
Yeah.
So that's one concern.
But you have an issue there of people being like, oh, so the rich and powerful have access, but we don't. And now it's not fair. And now I'm trying to make a startup and I don't have access to the same. So I don't know. What do you do?
Yeah, that is a valid point. I think, I used this example in the last podcast about, in the movies, you would see why the government was hiding certain things from the people. Yeah.
So you're down to have stuff hidden from you.
Yeah, and there's a reason why, because we as society can't handle things that are too disruptive. We're morons.
Yeah.
And so we let
we just caused a run on the banks based on,
Twitter.
Loss on some long-term bonds. The whole banking system is collapsing.
We let people make 15-second dance videos, and our society is on the verge of collapsing because of it.
Yeah. That's about the most we can handle.
Yeah.
We can get by.
We can't handle TikTok. You think we should handle AI? AI? Are you joking? They should make fucking computers illegal in America at the pace we're going at self-destruction.
I know. What do you do about the one part of me feels like I don't trust the people with the AI to do good
Okay.
with it.
All right, so let's think through what is the damage of Microsoft, Google, Apple having AI and you and I don't? What's the real damage?
I think
They become bigger and richer?
Yeah. I think the amount of information, like it's a tool that they have that we don't, so the game isn't fair. And then I think that their ability, like I don't want to get political about it, but you saw there's already certain things that if you plug into ChatGPT, it'll say one thing about one, maybe about Biden, but it won't say it about Trump or vice versa. Like, it's like, what if this is the voice?
Yeah.
What's the bias,
Yeah.
But I hear you too. On the other hand, I hear you too. I wish we had fucking nothing.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, like when I saw like the first pictures of Trump getting fake arrested on AI, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
This is going to cause such a headache.
Yeah.
And the thing is most people in society do not care about the consequences of their meme.
Yeah. No.
They don't give a shit.
And we did like just to not to be repetitive, but we really did see that with this banking thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point, is that if you could get a little bit more attention, a little bit more likes or clicks, you change your view on the world like overnight. You're like, yeah, fuck it. I said this and it got me more attention. I got more retweets. I got more likes. I got more views. I got more shares. Like that's the society we live in. Whatever it takes to get more attention. Yeah. With AI, you could do anything.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just think we will do the worst things to ourselves. And here's the thing is like, we just let shit loose. Like there's no government regulation. There's not even like a process. We just let like Sam Altman basically like unleashed this onto the world and now can't take it back.
Yeah. Maybe it's kind of like how police, like in California, police are allowed to have, high capacity magazines and like guns that normal people aren't in California.
That's
Maybe it should
point.
be like
it's
that.
Like,
maybe there's like we have a limited version.
I'm even okay with everyone getting access to things if there's a test. If you want to drive, you have to take a test.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to be on social media, you got to take a test. Yeah. You at least should be known of the consequences of going on social media.
Yeah.
AI, you want to start using ChatGPT, you got to take a test. Yeah. I don't care I'm okay with, I think people are just, they're just not educated on like what could happen, what could go wrong. Like there's stuff that I vividly remember from my driving test, which was like, for example, and to this day, it makes an impact on how I drive on the freeway.
Yeah.
I was taking the written exam and I was watching a video, driving school. And they said, for every 10 miles per hour you drive on the freeway, that's 1 car distance you should be.
Yeah.
So if you're driving 60, you should be 6 car distance. Yeah. If you're driving 80, you need to be 8 car distances. So if you have to brake, you have space.
Yeah.
To this day, when I'm driving on the freeway, I'm thinking to myself, how many car distances am I away, right?
Yeah,
that's something I learned when I was 15 years old. At 42, I think about that every fucking time I drive a car.
Yeah.
And
it's probably saved you because some of those quick brake checks, the most common accident I feel like I see is people that didn't brake quick enough on the highway, at least out here.
Oh, yeah. You see
I agree.
Like,
I'm okay with that. We need more tests in general.
Yeah. Like, I think if you educated people on all the positives and negatives, and if they still ruin, the situation, at least we'd made an effort.
I want to do a background check and see how you've been using like memes on regular social media to date. Like if you've been doing a lot of face swaps and you've been trying to crash bank stocks, and I don't know about that guy.
Yeah, and I think it should be age, it should be test. I think Utah is trying to put in some pretty strict laws around social media. I think AI is just that much scarier. And the fact that all these other tech leaders are, saying pause.
Yeah.
And obviously it gets taken completely out of context where, one point I saw was, well, China's not going to pause.
Yeah.
But China controls its citizens, so it's okay.
Yeah. The government shouldn't pause. The government, that's the problem. Oh, yeah, it's so fucking tricky. Because the problem is the government, the development of the technology can't pause because no one else is going to.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm torn on this one because I do think, look, I hate to go there, but we saw how the government, I guess it's good on, it's not on this episode. We saw how the government interfered or interacted with Twitter and social media companies and censoring. And, it seems dangerous.
Yeah.
But I think a test is the answer. I just think you should need a license. You should be like, here's my social media license. Here's my driver's license. Here's my gun license, if that's what you want. Here's my AI license.
Yeah.
You pass the test. You're not a psychopath.
And I mean, have something like some guardrails. This AI shit, it's so wild. Goldman Sachs said AI came out of the report saying AI will replace 300 million jobs. And it goes from administrative to legal to engineering. Those are real careers. What the fuck are all those people going to do?
I don't see how it doesn't. It's so wild. And the way that it's progressing. But also, isn't the thing that Elon's mainly scared of kind of a totally different thing, which is that AI could get sort of out of the reach of, kind of create a mind of its own and be a very dangerous thing. That's a whole nother thing.
Yes, exactly.
Because unlike social media, the reason why like Facebook and those people are so effective and why TikTok is dangerous on our phones when it's controlled by China is because the more you use it, the more data it captures and the smarter it gets. But we're talking about like social media and like algorithms. That's already kind of scary. But AI, the more people start using it and the questions they ask and the way they communicate with it, this thing's gonna, I don't know, the way I understand it is right now, it's like essentially combing all of the data from the internet.
Yeah.
But if it combines that with the way that humans interact with it, it now knows humans better than we know humans.
Yeah. Terminator.
Yeah.
Have you watched Terminator?
Are we fucked or not? I mean, I hear some people are not worried at all. And then when Elon's worried, I got to be honest, kind of trust him. Seems like a smart guy.
Elon's thinking obviously way far ahead. Like I think what he's concerned about, I could be wrong, feels further out. I'm more concerned about memes in the next election.
Yeah. I think it's going to get to the point where you just can't trust anything.
Everything's fake.
Like every month, I feel like I see a video of someone like, oh, watch me rap like Kanye West. And the AI knows Kanye West's voice. Or look at Joe Biden said, like, smell my butthole. Or like, look at this video. It's a fucking face swap. And they get realer and realer every month.
Yeah.
Like by the time, 2024, you could have a full Joe Biden speech that isn't even real.
Yeah. Wow.
And I can tell you, I have some aunts and uncles that are gonna believe it.
Everyone believes it immediately, and then you kind of pull up your spidey senses, and you're like,
So what happens? You just can't trust anything. Yeah, it's back to like there is no internet because the internet is so untrustworthy. You're just back to hearing what you hear at word of mouth.
You're like, yo, I gotta see you in person. I don't believe this shit.
Yeah. Maybe it just destroys the internet. Like maybe it's just. It gets too good that nothing is believable anymore.
And we just stop innovating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like David Guetta or some massive DJ is on TikTok right now, like did a song with, I think it's Kanye West, but it's a fake song. Like it's not actually Kanye, but it sounds like his voice, or it's some artist. And it sounds exactly like their voice. They did a little mashup, kind of chop it up so it's a little harder to tell. And
wow.
There's a TikTok going viral of like, look, I did this song. I made Kanye say whatever I wanted.
Did Kanye even post that apology? Or is that fake?
Doesn't matter. You have to ask him when you see him.
Wow.
It's the only way you'll know.
Yeah, you can't believe any video. Yeah.
You can't. It's wild. Okay. Next on the list, apartments. So we've talked a lot about, like things are rocky, the banks, having some trouble. There's obviously huge warns of severe recessions. There's inflation, job reports, all these different things happening. But one big area that seems really dangerous is commercial real estate and kind of real estate in general. We have this post from Twitter from Nick Gurley. Like, I see this in LA, but I guess this is, way big. This is happening everywhere. People are building these new apartment buildings at like crazy, crazy, crazy rates.
Yeah, I mean, if you drive around LA, the building of apartments is bananas.
Yeah, I mean, I can literally look out my window right now, I'm not exaggerating, and see 2 midway through in progress.
And high rises.
Yeah. And so that, with these numbers, that must be going on everywhere. But, there's some risk here.
Yeah, so the interesting stat he shared is 1.1 million apartment units currently in construction permitting, which is 60% higher than pre-pandemic, double peak set in 2007 bubble. So that obviously means lower rents are coming, which is good, I think, for society. But there's already vacancies in some markets. So like Phoenix has 7.2% vacancy, highest level in 6 years. Vegas is now 8.3%. And one of the reasons why is all the moratoriums and obviously the stimulus is over. So now it's evictions.
And just to be clear, moratorium is not over in LA, right? You still can't evict people, I don't think.
I think in LA County, you're right. Yeah.
Which I'm just curious, because that's another element to this of like how much rent hasn't been collected even.
Yeah.
Anyway, didn't mean to like sidebar, but I just feel like that's another weird piece of the puzzle.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And then the other challenge is, buying versus renting, right? So in most markets in these big cities, it's cheaper to rent than to buy.
Yeah.
So he used an example of Seattle. When you add mortgage, taxes, insurance, on average, it's $4,600 a month to buy versus $2,200 for rent. And if you take something like LA, it's 90% more expensive to buy than to rent.
Yeah.
So eventually, if these homeowners want to sell, they're just not going to have buyers.
Yeah.
Obviously, right now, people don't want to sell because they have low mortgages and they're happy with their payments. But God forbid you have a life-changing, life-altering moment and you have to sell.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be buyers for all of these homes that could potentially come on the market if that happens.
Yeah.
Most people are saying that won't happen, but kind of interesting. So like you have like an interesting challenge in the rental market where there's a huge backlog, like this guy is saying, increasing vacancy rents, eventually lower rents. These were all built with some assumptions on rent and during times of very high construction costs. Construction costs were so high the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So you cost way more to build and now you're going to collect way less money. So it's real estate's in a really interesting spot.
Yeah, it just feels like Jenga, and like we keep pulling pieces and the building just feels like it's leaning more. And there's just so many little things. And I'm not saying that it couldn't, not to be like doomsday about it, things could correct, it seems like, and not be too devastating, but it just feels like there's so many pieces, then you throw on obviously war and all of those things, but like, feels like a big piece that is sketchy.
Yeah, and I think people kind of have like, people weren't concerned about the higher end of the market, but Restoration Hardware CEO came out today and basically said like he's never seen the luxury market like this. And in a very long time. And I think he thinks that like we could be at the bottom, but he said for him and seeing his customer, it's worse than 2008. And he thinks everything from the bank runs to stock market just struggling to inflation has finally, affected their customer. And which is, I found pretty fascinating because Restoration Hardware is a luxury brand that felt like it would not be hurt. Yeah. And their fourth quarter revenue was down 14%.
Yeah.
And they're expecting,
I would imagine a large part of their business is just people being like, yeah, whatever, just furnish the house. Like just rich people, like I've been to so many rich people houses where everything's just Restoration Hardware that, exactly. They just said, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem is that like, people like are just so glutted with stuff they've bought. And he did not give a very, confident, kind of outlook on the market. He did say he thought, it is the bottom. So I think that part is good. But I mean, I think like that's like the first sign that I've seen about a luxury brand that actually seen softness.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Restoration Hardware to me is like an A++ brand. Like, yeah, I agree. I think it's phenomenal product, great brand. It is the perception of it is like better than ever. Yeah. They've done such a great job with like connecting with their customers. Like long term, it's an amazing business, but like, this guy obviously is ringing some pretty crazy bells.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Buy with Prime? So Amazon has this new feature, Buy with Prime, that is a threat. I'll let you decide like how deep we go into it, right? But it's a new feature that essentially lets you, put a Buy with Prime button onto your website, right? So you have a website, you sell shoes. You don't want to deal with the fulfillment and doing all that stuff. You just can use a Buy with Prime button. Amazon, essentially it's like buying it on Amazon Prime, but you still get your own website, that sort of thing. Correct me or go deeper on that if you want to. But the big threat is what it will do to Shopify, because this is especially for startups and for e-com brands and for people that maybe don't have that structure. With Shopify, there's still a big piece of the puzzle that you need to solve, which is, where are you going to stock your stuff? How are you going to get it to the customer? There's a pretty big problem there that still needs solved. Amazon can essentially solve it. That's obviously a big threat to Shopify. What do you think? Also, is there more light you want to shed on what it actually is? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. An analyst kind of came out and to say that they're concerned about this. And the main reason why they're concerned is that if Buy with Prime becomes this mega kind of option for Shopify sellers, then the checkout now is no longer Shopify. The checkout is where Shopify makes money. Yeah. So they take a percentage of each transaction, payment processing if you use them. So like that piece is very, very important for Shopify's kind of revenue and gross profit. Yeah. So this analyst is estimating that could have a 6 to 12% risk to Shopify's gross profit. People who have used this have told me that they've already seen a lift in conversion. I have friends that have put Buy with Prime because you just know what you're getting.
Yeah, it's the comfort, right? You just know it's going to get there,
Yeah. It's still clunky because you can only buy one item at a time. So it's not like you can buy like 10 things at a time, because some people have some stuff with Prime and some people have their regular warehouse. So it's still a clunky process. Yeah. But I think if it works, it'll just force Shopify's hand to just do a proper integration with Amazon.
Yeah.
Which
it's crazy, man. Like Shopify, I know this is like a massive undertaking, but if Shopify could figure out how to help with the logistics, like that's just such a big hole. Shopify made everything so easy, but man, if you're a startup, like figuring out, finding a 3PL, tying in all the Ship Hero and all the different, that's it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And if you could, that probably stops most businesses from getting off the ground, I would think.
Yeah,
Because,
and even
I
at,
think,
at scale,
go.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Go.
No, it's incredibly hard. I just think that like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems to me like coming up with an idea for a business, even getting some product made, creating a website, creating a social media, like that's all, especially if you're passionate about your idea, like you're kind of, oh, I can't wait to develop this product. Like that's pretty exciting. But man, logistics just crushes people. And not only does Amazon have it on lock, but you're right, like just the familiarity. It's not some new brand that you're seeing. You're seeing that Prime icon on a store and you trust it. And it's interesting. They have your credit card info. It's easy.
Yeah, it's wild.
Okay. Well, I'm interested. This will be a big fight because you could just see the chain reaction here that if this becomes normal and Amazon just keeps getting better at it, making the experience better and better, it's going to be rougher and rougher on Shopify. So
yeah, I agree. And I think at the end of the day, there's no loyalty, right? For businesses or customers. Everyone just wants the best experience. Like if you guys, we're not really strangers, find more success with Buy with Prime, you'll switch everything tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, why would you care? You have no
and that's what's
loyalty
interesting too, is because it was always like, those were always competing. Like Amazon was the killer of like small businesses and e-com stores. But now if it's a tool, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, on that note, let's wrap it up with winners, losers, and content. Who's your biggest winner of the week, Dee?
My winner is the Walt Disney Company.
What'd they do?
They, DeSantis and Walt Disney have been going at it. And part of that was that basically Walt Disney has like some self-governance laws and where Walt Disney World is built. Mm-hmm. And apparently Disney has found a legal clause that name checks King Charles III to apparently, dwarf DeSantis's attempt to strip the company of its self-governance power in the state. So basically some shit that happened, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, has now been the legal kind of argument where Disney is saying is the King Charles gave us this power. You don't have this power. You're out. We don't care what you think.
And it worked?
I mean, it seems like this is their case. Like, wow. I mean, pretty good call by the mouse.
We've said it before. You can't fuck with the mouse.
Nah, the mouse just feels unbeatable
had royal
right now.
Privilege.
Yeah, King Mouse.
I thought DeSantis had this one covered. I thought you don't fuck with Florida. No, you don't fuck with the mouse.
Yeah, I mean, and they just have like, no offense to attorneys in Florida, I can only imagine Disney's attorneys. They got someone reading like fucking 1700 like history book.
Yeah.
Finding.
Yeah. God, that's wild. I hope, you know what? Once again, not political. I hope that works just because it's so ridiculous that I want it to be like, oh, you can't fuck with Disney because they have some sort of royal pass.
Yeah. I mean, I think Disney has a lot of different like arguments here, but like, it's pretty good. I liked it.
That's really good. Okay. My winner is, not to get too serious, I'll be quick. My winner is the Nashville PD. Man, I don't know if you watch these body cam videos, but like obviously cops have really gotten a bad, rap, and even on this show, sometimes over the past few years. Also, we saw what happened in Uvalde, where the cops just sort of stood around, and that was a tragic video, at least from what it looked like. Man, this Nashville video, even though still such a tragic day, these guys sprang into action. I mean, they ran into that building. You could tell, like, I don't know, I guess I've never really seen body camera video like that, but like,
I've never seen anything like that.
Like you could tell they didn't know where the person was. Like you just know there's someone in there with assault rifles and they're shooting. And man, these guys just cleared rooms and found the person and took him out really quickly. And I don't want to, celebrate too much. Obviously, it was a terrible event that happened, but I just got to say,
Yeah.
if I'm in trouble, those are the types of guys I want showing up. Holy shit.
They were badasses with how they handled it.
Yeah, that was a crazy video. Okay, loser. Who's your loser for the week?
My loser is my fake alma mater. Harvard.
Yeah. Well,
They
I saw
are
that.
no
Why?
longer the top 10 of the top 10 dream colleges and universities. Harvard has fallen to 3.
You're gonna have to get some new hoodies.
What
hoodies are you buying now? Oh,
MIT is 1. I'm not an MIT guy, though. I'm not an MIT guy. Stanford is 2.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. MIT just doesn't sound like sexy.
Yeah, you're right. But here's the thing. We might just be getting old. Maybe to the youth, you get accepted into MIT, you're the guy or the gal.
So Stanford is 2, Harvard is 3, NYU is 4, UCLA is 5. That's disgusting.
Wow.
Princeton 6, University of Pennsylvania 7, Columbia 8, Michigan 9, Texas 10. The tuition, room and board to go to MIT annually.
How much?
Can you guess?
God, I'm so bad at this. $75,000.
Wow, great guess. 79,000
Is it?
a year.
That's absurd.
98% of families are expecting financial aid to pay for college.
I mean, is that just
98? That's everybody.
That's everyone. Is that just the times catching up? Like, obviously technology is where it's all going and they're known for that. I mean, what's causing that?
Oh, why you think MIT is 1?
Yeah, in your mind.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like Harvard, I mean, obviously people get mad, but like Harvard, like a lot of it is like a liberal arts type thinking. It's like people that go to school, major in English and history and a lot of those topics.
Yeah.
Which those kids end up going and getting whatever. I met someone the other day that was like a history major at Harvard, and they're literally like a shark venture capitalist.
Yeah.
So it's like the transition happens quickly, but like it's just that like I doubt kids want to go to college now to study English.
Yeah.
Like you want to study computer science, you want to study finance. Like, I think it unfortunately, most kids who study those degrees, if you don't go to the top college, you don't get a job.
Yeah.
In that profession where you can actually pay back your student loan that you just took.
Yeah. That's the real problem.
Yeah.
There's no chance you're paying back that student loan if you don't.
Which sucks because these colleges have such huge endowments. It's a joke.
Yeah. I wonder what you do if you're Harvard, Stanford, like, maybe they don't care at all, but like, do you just think like, gosh, we have to kind of change our like branding, like,
the problem is the top schools are seeing a surge in applications while the rest of the country has kind of fallen off a cliff.
Yeah,
basically kids are like, if I can't go to these schools, I don't want to go.
Yeah. That's fair.
And
I
maybe
think
there's
that's
like
the right
50
decision.
schools. Yeah. There's probably like 50 schools that fall into that.
Yeah. I think for the most part, obviously there's a lot of exceptions, but like, that's kind of how it should be a little bit. I mean,
I agree.
Because like a random degree from a random school is absolutely just throwing your money away. All you're doing is making some new friends and maybe like learning how to wake up early without your parents.
Let me tell you something. If you're going to some small private school that no one's heard of, if you want to make friends, it's $50,000 a year to go to these schools, right? $60,000 a year. If you just bought tables at Poppy every week for a month, you would have the best friends in the world.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If you had like a morning running routine, the only other thing that I regret about not going to college is, and very lightly, is like, I think there's like, I've now worked with some college, like we have interns and stuff that are in college, and there does seem to be like a sense of responsibility that most of them have. Like, they have to show up for classes. Their parents aren't there to make them get out of bed. Like there's a little bit of like kind of like teaching you to build some good habits, I guess. But you might have a different experience because I've heard it's also just a lot of partying and not much responsibility.
After year one at USC, I was like, wait, no one knows if I show up for this shit or not.
Yeah. I probably have a flawed perspective. Yeah, that's true.
I didn't even buy books.
Yeah, you can't just kind of come and go, huh? It's just about how you do on the exams.
Yeah. All you do
could
is
you
you just
not go to any of your classes and then just ace your exam and you're fine?
So I would say by my junior year, I could not ace it because I was so out of the loop.
Well, no, sorry.
But,
I mean, not you. I mean, like in theory, you could do that, right? Like they don't say, you've missed X amount of days. We're calling your parents, or like they do in high school.
Very small groups where they'll take your attendance in like mass lecture classes, which most of them are.
Yeah.
You just take the exam and that's your grade. Like there were certain subjects that I actually felt very comfortable that I never went, and I did fine. I got A's in those classes. Yeah. But if it was a topic I was not familiar with, I would just try to cram it all in a week and I wouldn't do great.
Man, one of our interns is currently at, I won't say the school, but a very good school. And she was in the office the other day, like doing her online lecture, because you can just go online or you can go in now. They don't care. Yeah. And we were just listening to it and it was just horrendous. I just can't believe that's what, parents are paying for. It was crazy. And like, you have half the kids remote, like with their screens hidden, and then half the kids show up, and it's just pretty wild.
Yeah, it's rough.
Okay. Makes sense. I'll be honest here. I'm having trouble finding a loser.
Okay. Everybody's a winner.
Everybody's winning. I'm not mad at anyone this week. Usually the loser's the easy one for me to find. So let's move on. Do you have any content recommendations for the weekend?
Yeah. I, on like all these streaming services, they like rank top 10 shows, top 10 movies. And I was on Amazon.
I'm not kidding you. Mine never does that.
So
like my Netflix never does it.
I have one newer Apple TV in my house and one older one. The newer one shows it. The older one doesn't.
Yeah, that's bullshit, man. Because you've always talked about this, like just watching the top ranked things. And I still to this day will open it and try to find it. And I don't have that feature.
That's interesting because that's what I normally pick to watch.
Oh, I would die for that. Just tell me. Just tell me what people like.
It's on the app too. The app definitely always shows it up.
That's what I do on Spotify now. Now that I'm old, I just like click fucking the top hits. I just tell me what people like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on Amazon, the number one show for the last, 2 weeks has been a show called Daisy Jones and the Six. And it's off a book. That was a very popular book, but it's basically like, the rumor is it's like loosely based upon Fleetwood Mac. Oh. But it's about a band in the 60s, 70s era and being formed and being this like dysfunctional group of people. It's incredible.
Really?
It's incredible. Yeah.
That's a great recommendation. I normally just expect whatever you say to not be great. That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Mine, I'm just going to stick to the obvious. Succession.
Yeah.
It's back. It started on Sunday.
It was great.
And it was great. I mean, I think that episode was like a little soft, but you got to kick us off. You got to kind of like set the stage. I'm sure there's some drama coming, but I really like that show. And I really like, I really enjoy the like really being into a show and having to wait until Sunday to watch it.
I agree. I think it's great.
Like it gives me something like I'm legitimately excited. Like there's this moment where like, okay, we're going to record a group chat on Sunday. And then I know I can dive right into Succession. And I'm excited for that moment now, as opposed to like by now I would have watched the whole damn season.
Binge watching shows is for pigs.
That's another thing. See, another thing we shouldn't have control of.
No. Don't
give me access to everything. Trickle it out.
We don't deserve it.
We don't deserve it. We mistreat it. Okay. That's it. We got a shout out.
Yeah.
What do we got?
A big birthday shout out to Brent Thorne from his wife, Courtney.
Happy birthday.
She's claiming he's the best husband and new dad. The best.
So he's not the best dad yet, but he is the best husband. TBD on best dad.
New dad.
He's new. He's the best husband, but he's a new dad.
He's been listening to the pod for years. Then Courtney started listening to it as well. They worked at home during COVID and spent time listening to us. And she just wanted to say you're deserving of all the amazing things because of his selflessness to his family.
Aww.
He will do anything to make others around him feel supported, comfortable, and safe. Thank you.
Well, shout out
That's
to
awesome.
Brent. I hope you end up being as good of a dad as you are a husband. And shout out to Courtney. That's great. That's so sweet. That's like just a legitimate, sweet birthday wish.
Yeah, that's like what nice people do.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Is that it?
Oh, happy birthday to Amanda.
Is it her birthday today?
Yes.
Happy birthday,
Anand's wife, Amanda, celebrating her big birthday today as well.
I'm going to add that to my calendar. I'm trying to get better at birthdays in my new.
Well, yes, technically yesterday, but the shout outs today.
Perfect. Okay. That's all we got.
That's it.
All right. Everyone have a great weekend. Watch out for AI. Just don't use it if you're not ready.
Nah.
It's not for you. To boycott AI. Don't binge watch. Remember what you learned in your driver's ed classes. Let's all just calm down. Okay. We'll see you later.